Welcome to Into the Margins, where we dive into the margins to find what makes businesses profitable in order to inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to get into this one today.
Yeah, it's great to have you because today we are taking a deep dive into a corner of your business strategy that is, frankly, probably hemorrhaging potential revenue
Oh,
right now.
absolutely. It's a massive blind spot for most founders.
Right. Like if we look at the typical analytics dashboard or, the strategy notes for a scaling tech startup, it is painfully clear that a lot of you out there are treating your written content as an afterthought.
Yeah, totally. It's treated like this digital diary.
Exactly. A diary or just a place for PR announcements. And we are entirely reframing that today. We're looking at how to transform that neglected digital footprint into a highly calculated profit-driving engine for your growth.
I mean, it's so important we dig into this because as a founder, your time is your most valuable asset, bar none.
100%.
You simply cannot afford to throw hours into content creation that just floats aimlessly in the digital abyss. So the mission for our deep dive today is to unpack the exact mechanics of creating assets that actually capture high-intent organic traffic.
Right, because it's an architecture, really.
It is. We're going to look at the invisible architecture that balances genuine user value with the very rigid demands of search algorithms and how that ultimately impacts your bottom line.
So to do that, we are going to track the complete life cycle of a high-converting digital asset, like from the initial spark, the psychology of demand, all the way to the long-term maintenance required to keep that asset printing money literally years down the line.
Yeah, let's start right at the foundation, which is the anatomy of demand.
Right, because looking at the typical strategy, there's a massive disconnect happening. I see it all the time. You are writing about what your company wants to say rather than what the market is actually actively searching for.
It is such a fundamental shift in posture. So many founders treat their site like a megaphone.
Yes, a megaphone, exactly.
They write, a 2,000-word piece about their new software update or maybe a new hire, and then they sit around wondering why nobody reads it.
Because nobody cares.
Right. The internet does not care about your internal announcements. People use search engines as answer engines. They are typing in highly specific, often frustrating problems, and they are hunting for immediate solutions.
And if you want traffic, specifically traffic that converts to actual sales, your content has to intersect perfectly with those exact pain points.
Right. It's the difference between publishing something titled, look how great our new accounting software is, versus how to automate your payroll in 5 minutes.
Oh, that's a perfect example. One is just a corporate vanity play, and the other solves an urgent, late-night problem for a stressed-out business owner.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing is, we don't have to guess what those late-night problems are.
Right, the data is just sitting there.
It's all there. The empirical data is waiting to be mined. You have to leverage advanced keyword research using tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush, or even just the Google Keyword Planner to prove the demand before a single word is drafted.
Because by analyzing that search volume data, you can literally see exactly how many thousands of people per month are searching for a specific phrase.
Yeah, and crucially, you can identify the search intent behind it.
Intent is everything.
It really is. Is the user just looking for general information, or are they holding a credit card, actively searching for a specific tool to buy?
Right. Riding the wave of that transactional intent is where the actual money is. Plus, there's the whole strategy of newsjacking or trend writing.
Oh, that's huge.
Like if a massive new data privacy regulation drops in your sector, thousands of panicked executives are immediately searching for how to navigate that compliance.
Yeah, they're scrambling.
Exactly. And if your site is the one answering that question within 24 hours, you are capturing a massive influx of highly motivated, targeted traffic.
And that is exactly how you establish true market authority. You prove you're indispensable by being the first to provide clarity in a moment of industry confusion.
But, none of that matters if they don't click in the first place.
Right. The title of your piece is basically your storefront window.
It's like, I always think about this analogy, writing a brilliant piece of content without doing the demand and keyword research is like building a state-of-the-art luxury store right in the middle of a desert.
Yeah, a total ghost town.
It doesn't matter how incredible the product inside is if there's 0 foot traffic, and your title is the neon sign pointing the way.
That's a great way to look at it. And a highly effective title has to execute 3 psychological triggers simultaneously.
Okay, what are they?
First, it must be crystal clear. The human brain hates ambiguity. Second, it must include your primary target keyword, which is the matching signal for the search algorithm.
Right.
And third, it has to introduce a friction point or an open loop that sparks undeniable curiosity.
Which is why we see this constantly with numbered lists or interrogative setups.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when the brain sees 7 ways to reduce churn, it automatically categorizes that information as structured, digestible, and finite. We click because our psychology literally compels us to close the loop on that specific promise.
The brain physically craves that resolution. We click just to relieve the microtension created by a really good title.
Okay, so we've matched the market demand, we've crafted the irresistible storefront window, and we've gotten the user to actually click the link. They are in the door.
Now the hard part starts.
Right. How do we keep them from taking one look around, turning on their heels, and immediately leaving? Which brings us into the reality of modern digital consumption, what we like to call the skim economy.
The skim economy. I love that term. That is the perfect way to frame it because it dictates how we have to structure every single piece of information.
Formatting is everything.
It really is. How you format your page directly dictates your survival in the algorithm.
And this is actually where I've been rethinking my own strategy lately based on the high-level clients we're trying to attract. Like if I'm a founder and I want to be seen as the definitive ultimate expert in my highly technical field, say enterprise cybersecurity, I need to give them a comprehensive, deeply academic masterclass. Like I want them to hit my page and see a massive, unbroken 3,000-word wall of text packed with citations and dense industry terminology. Because that sheer density proves my authority to the reader, and it signals to Google that this is a serious, heavyweight resource.
No, I actually have to stop you right there.
Really?
Yeah, because if you deploy that strategy, you will actively sabotage your site's ranking and basically destroy your conversion
Wait, hold
rate.
on. Why? Why would providing a massive amount of dense, expert information hurt my site? Shouldn't a comprehensive masterclass establish unquestionable authority?
In a printed textbook or an academic journal, absolutely. But in a digital environment, human behavior changes drastically.
How so?
We have over a decade of eye tracking studies, particularly from the Nielsen-Norman Group, proving that people simply do not read online.
They just don't read.
They don't. They skim. They read in what's known as an F pattern.
Right, I've heard of this. The eye tracks horizontally across the top, then scans vertically down the left margin, just looking for anything that stands out.
Precisely. The user is frantically searching for headers, bullet points, or bolded words that signal the specific answer they need right now.
Wow, okay.
So if a reader clicks your link and is immediately confronted with a massive unbroken wall of text, their brain processes that visual data as a massive cognitive load.
That's overwhelming.
It actually triggers a physical stress response. The brain says, this requires way too much energy to parse, and the user immediately hits the back button to retreat to a safer, easier environment.
They retreat right back to the search results page to find a competitor who made the answer easier to digest.
Exactly. And that retreat is devastating for your business. In the industry, that specific behavior is called pogo sticking.
Pogo sticking, right.
And it actively spikes your bounce rate. Search engine algorithms monitor that behavior incredibly closely. When the algorithm sees a user click your link and then bounce back to the search results 3 seconds later, it logs a failure.
It assumes your content is bad.
Exactly. The algorithm concludes this page did not satisfy the user's intent. And if that happens consistently, your ranking plummets and your organic traffic essentially dies.
So the visual structure of the page isn't just about aesthetics. It is actually a primary retention mechanism. To survive the skim economy, we have to engineer the formatting specifically to reduce cognitive load.
Short paragraphs are absolutely non-negotiable.
Like how short?
Sometimes a paragraph should literally be 1 or 2 sentences. You must utilize clear, descriptive subheadings every few hundred words. Use bulleted lists to break up dense data.
And bolding text.
Yes, bold your key concepts so the F-pattern scanners catch the core value immediately. You're providing visual relief.
Yeah.
This keeps the user scrolling, which increases their time on page.
And time on page is the golden metric.
Right, because when time on page goes up, the algorithm realizes you have successfully held human attention, and it rewards you with much higher visibility.
We're basically hacking human psychology to reduce friction, which inadvertently appeases the algorithm's quality metrics.
That's exactly what it is.
But keeping the human eye engaged is really only half the battle, right? Because search engine crawlers don't have eyes. They can't see how beautifully formatted our bullet points are.
No, they can't.
So how do we translate that human-friendly structure into the raw code that a bot actually relies on to categorize the internet?
That is where we have to build the invisible architecture, the on-page technical optimization.
Right.
This is the underlying engine that actually drives discoverability. We established the importance of market demand and specific search phrases earlier, but the actual placement of those phrases within your code is what alerts the crawlers.
So it's not just about sprinkling phrases randomly like confetti, it's about hierarchy. The bots are looking at your structural tags, your H1s, your H2s.
Yeah, they're parsing the document object model of your page. And crucially, this is something a lot of people miss. We need to focus heavily on the first 100 words of the text.
I've seen this in the data you sent over. Why is the algorithm so obsessed at the very top of the page?
It comes down to natural language processing, or NLP. Search engines use NLP to determine what's called entity salience.
Entity salience. Okay, what does that mean in plain English?
It's basically figuring out the most important concepts on a given page. The models are trained on the assumption that in high-quality writing, the core thesis is introduced immediately.
Ah, I see.
So if your primary target phrase doesn't appear until paragraph 4, the bot assumes it is a secondary, much less important topic, and it completely dilutes your ranking power.
That makes perfect sense. Lead with the value. Let's talk at another piece of the invisible architecture, the meta tags. Specifically the meta description. It seems like a lot of founders just ignore this completely.
Ignoring the meta description is a massive, unforced error. That short, 150-character snippet of text is your absolute only direct sales pitch on the search engine results page.
And it doesn't directly impact the ranking, right?
Right. While the description itself doesn't directly influence the algorithm's ranking formula, a highly compelling, curiosity-driven description drastically improves your click-through rate.
And a high click-through rate is a massive behavioral signal to the algorithm.
Exactly.
Like if you rank number 4, but you are consistently getting more clicks than the guy at number 2 because your meta description is just better, the algorithm will eventually promote you.
It's a pure meritocracy based on user preference over time.
Yeah.
We also need to talk about building a robust internal linking structure.
Connecting your own pages together.
Yeah. When you link to your other written assets, you are creating a web that keeps users circulating within your own ecosystem. It distributes ranking power across your site and signals to the bot that you have deep, comprehensive topical authority.
And external links function somewhat similarly, right?
Yeah.
Linking out to highly authoritative data sources or academic studies proves to the bot that you are situated within a legitimate, well-researched neighborhood of the internet.
That's right. You want to associate with good neighbors.
But I want to dig into a technical element that often frustrates developers and founders alike. Alt text for images. Like writing descriptions for every single image on a page.
Oh, yeah. This is a big one.
Are the algorithms really sophisticated enough to care if I describe like a generic stock photo of a laptop on a desk? Does that actually move the needle?
They care immensely, but not for the reason most people think.
Really?
Yeah. Search crawlers are essentially blind to visual media. They only read the raw code. If your image file is named, screenshot final-v2.pne with an empty alt text field, you are passing zero contextual data to the crawler.
So providing alt text gives the bot a readable caption. But beyond just stuffing it with keywords, how does this actually impact the overall health of the site?
Well, alt text was not invented for search engines. It was invented for human accessibility. It is what screen readers use to describe visual content to visually impaired users.
Right, accessibility.
And over the last few years, major search algorithms have evolved to heavily prioritize websites that strictly adhere to web accessibility standards. They use accessibility as a primary proxy for user experience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so when you take the time to accurately describe your visuals, you are sending a massive trust signal that your site is robust, compliant, and built for all users.
That is phenomenal insight.
Yeah.
You aren't just feeding the bot a keyword, you are actively proving your structural integrity.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've laid the technical foundation, the code is optimized, the page is beautifully scannable, and the asset finally goes live. But organic search growth is notoriously a very slow burn.
Oh, it takes a while.
It can take months for a brand new page to climb out of the sandbox and hit page 1. So how do you generate immediate traffic spikes while waiting for that algorithmic momentum to build?
This is where we shift from the architecture to the amplifier effect. Hitting publish is really only 20% of the job.
Only 20%.
Distribution is where the actual revenue is generated. If you just leave it on your site and wait, you're leaving massive amounts of money on the table.
Now, most founders immediately default to social media distribution, just blasting the raw link across LinkedIn, X, Facebook, and Instagram.
Social distribution is mandatory, sure, but you have to understand the actual mechanics of what we call zero-click platforms.
Zero click.
Yes. Social algorithms are designed to keep users on their platform, not send them away to your website. If you just drop a raw link in a LinkedIn post, the algorithm will actively suppress its reach.
Because they don't want people leaving.
Exactly. You have to extract the most compelling insight, write a native hook that provides standalone value right there in the feed, and then encourage them to seek out the full asset.
But even then, you are essentially renting an audience from a platform that can and will change its rules tomorrow, which is why owned distribution channels are infinitely more valuable.
Right. Your direct-to-audience email list is the single most powerful asset in your entire business. When you distribute that new asset directly to your email subscribers, you bypass the algorithm entirely.
It's guaranteed delivery.
Exactly. You are generating an immediate, guaranteed influx of highly qualified traffic straight to your domain.
And with that distribution usually comes engagement. Which brings us something I really want to challenge. We are constantly told by marketing gurus that we must engage in the comments section.
Oh boy, here we go.
Right. Like fostering a lively debate in the comments supposedly signals massive value to the search algorithms and builds community.
That's the conventional wisdom, yeah.
But let's step out of marketing theory for a second and look at the brutal reality of running a company. If my hourly rate as a founder is $500, and I have a team of 50 people relying on me to close enterprise deals, does the ROI of sitting in a comment section replying to a dozen random accounts actually make sense? Are we actually moving the needle on profitability, or are we just engaging in vanity metrics that make us feel popular?
You know, that is probably the most uncomfortable question in digital strategy right now. And frankly, it exposes a lot of the idealized advice out there because the reality is the ROI is incredibly murky.
Murky in what sense?
Well, if you are demanding direct, immediate attribution, meaning you want to see that spending 5 minutes replying to user 456 generated a $1,000 sale today, then no, the ROI absolutely does not exist.
Right, you can't track it.
It is nearly impossible to track a direct line from a comment reply to a closed deal. However, the aggregate behavioral signals are undeniably real. When search engines and social algorithms see a high velocity of comments and author replies, they categorize that asset as highly engaging and dynamically relevant.
So they see a living, breathing conversation rather than just a static page.
Exactly, and they reward it with extended visibility. Furthermore, when a founder takes the time to thoughtfully reply, it acts as a massive trust accelerator. It humanizes the brand and very often converts a casual reader into a vocal, long-term advocate.
So we are talking about a long-term brand equity play versus a short-term cash acquisition play.
Precisely.
But the time cost is still real. As a founder, you have to ruthlessly audit your schedule. Perhaps the solution isn't living in the comments all day, but timeboxing, say, 15 minutes every 48 hours to only respond to the most high-value, challenging interactions.
It requires extreme discipline. But honestly, because this is such a heavily debated operational challenge, we actually want to open this up to you, the listener.
Yeah, I'd love to hear this.
Have you tracked tangible bottom-line growth from founder-led comment engagement in your specific startup? Or have you found it to be a complete distraction from core business development? Drop your operational insights down below. We really want to see how different industries are balancing this.
It's a tension every scaling founder feels. All right, so the promotional spike has peaked. The social media buzz dies down. The email click-throughs settle, and the comment section goes quiet.
The dust settles.
Right. How do we prevent this highly optimized asset from just rotting away in the digital archives?
This brings us to the final phase, which is the long game. You must fundamentally view your written assets as appreciating real estate rather than disposable, single-use commodities.
Which is funny because most companies treat their content exactly like a daily newspaper.
Yes.
Once it's printed, it's old news by tomorrow, and they just immediately start writing the next piece.
And that is a massive waste of resources. Search engines employ algorithms specifically designed to detect what we call content decay.
Content decay.
There is a metric called Query Deserves Freshness, or QDF. If your asset ranked number 1 in 2024, but it hasn't been touched in 2 years, the algorithm assumes the data is stale, and it will slowly downgrade you in favor of a competitor who published yesterday.
So the defense against content decay is essentially strategic renovation. Exactly.
You don't need to rewrite the entire piece. You go into that aging asset, update the statistics to the current year, add a new paragraph about a recent industry trend, and maybe tighten up the meta description.
Yeah, you spend 20 minutes refreshing the data, hit update, and the algorithm pingbacks recognize it as fresh, highly relevant material. You immediately regain your lost ranking power. It really is identical to commercial real estate.
Yeah.
Doing a quick cosmetic renovation on an old, high-performing property, with some new appliances and a fresh coat of paint, requires a fraction of the capital compared to buying a new plot of land and building from scratch.
Such a great analogy.
You leverage the existing foundation to generate a massive immediate return on investment.
You are extracting maximum lifetime value from the work you already did. But, and this is a huge but, all of this architecture, all of this traffic, and all of this ranking power is completely useless if you fail to execute the final, most critical element, the call to action.
Ah, the CTA. Because if you capture their attention, you have to direct their momentum.
Right. If a user reads your perfectly optimized, highly engaging piece and then just closes the tab, you've gained nothing. You must design a frictionless off-ramp that captures their value.
What does that look like practically?
Are you driving them to download a proprietary data report in exchange for their email? Are you prompting them to book a discovery call? Are you pushing them to a free software trial?
The CTA is basically the bridge between a free educational resource and a profitable business transaction. Without a highly visible, compelling next step, you aren't really running a business. You're just volunteering to be the internet's free encyclopedia.
And attention without conversion is just vanity.
Wow. Okay, so as we wrap up our analysis of this strategy, what is the core takeaway you need to implement today?
I want to leave you with a concept that goes beyond just refreshing your archives for traditional search engines. We are rapidly entering the era of AI overviews and large language models acting as the primary answer engine. These AI models do not synthesize information from stale, outdated pages. They're specifically trained to source from the most currently updated, structurally sound, and accessible data available.
Wow, okay.
So if you let your digital footprint decay, you won't just lose traditional ranking, you will be entirely erased from the AI-generated answers of the future.
That is wild.
The renovation of your archives isn't just about traffic today, it's about ensuring your business exists in the training data of tomorrow. So you have to ask yourself, are your digital assets structured well enough for a bot to confidently cite you as the definitive expert?
That is a terrifying but absolutely vital reality to prepare for. The transition from human readers to AI synthesis is already happening. Well, if you want to read more, check out our blog at intothemargins.com/thebook.
Yeah, there are a lot of great resources there.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We know how heavily scheduled your day is, and we genuinely appreciate you spending this time with us here on the show.
It's been great.
If you extracted some actionable strategy from this conversation, please hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss our future deep dives, and definitely drop that comment regarding the real-world ROI of founder engagement we discussed earlier. We really want to hear how you're handling it.
Yeah, I'll be reading those.
And remember, there are plenty of other deep dives and strategy sessions for you to check out. Keep pushing the boundaries, keep diving into the margins, and we will see you next time.